What is up, bro? It's me, Josh. In today's video, we're going over the Jutland, the Tier 9 destroyer on the upcoming Royal Navy destroyer line. And this ship is currently work in progress, so it is subject to change, and all these stats could change before it goes live. But this is the version we have, and this is the version we will go over for the preview. Now, Tier 9 destroyers, heavy competition. You have the long-lasting Fletcher, the Z46, the Chung Mu. Tier 9 is a very strong tier. A lot of Tier 9 destroyers on their lines are thought of even being better than the Tier 10s. A lot of people like the Fletcher more than the Gearing. A lot of people like the Z46 better than the Z52. This is a pretty competitive tier for some destroyers that are really like. So the Jutland has some tough competition when it comes to this kind of hybrid destroyers that we see in the German, the USN, and the Pan-Asian lines of these kind of anti-destroyers or these hybrid destroyers. But one thing that the Royal Navy destroyers are hitting on is a bit of a different playstyle. What I mean by that is they're a bit more of a defensive playstyle. Diving into that, first of all, you can also see too, if you've ever played the ship the Gallant, the Tier 6 premium destroyer, what it has is the single fire torps. This is kind of a unique thing for the Royal Navy. And you see that on the cruisers as well. The thing I can't stand about this is it's either single fire or widespread. I wish they would just get rid of the widespread. Who cares? It most likely you shouldn't be using it anyway. So I wish it was either narrow spread or single torp. That's what I would love to see. Or give us all three options, because the widespread option is just awful. And then trying to kind of make a pseudo narrow spread with the single fire is always kind of tough too. And actually, I'm kind of surprised how well the armor kind of did in this situation. 2 Minotaurs within 10 kilometers. I was expecting to get absolutely murdered. One's a Minotaur, one is a normal. And I thought I'd be dead here, so I was like, oh, okay. Well, sure got to check out the Jutland, and here we go. But luckily we have some friends, and then the Minotaur with radar is luckily sailing broadside in the middle of the cap. So we're going to make it out of here alive. Thank you, teammates. Love you long time. So down goes the radar Minotaur, and we get to stay alive and continue to contest. But as I was saying before, this is going to be focusing more on a kind of defensive play style. Now, this wasn't an insane game or anything like that. It was kind of I would say it was all right. We got to check it out. But the things we're going to go over is the health pool, 21,550 life. That's pretty solid. That's a lot of health for a destroyer. 13.2 kilometer range, as you can see, a pretty damn good rate of fire as well. 3x2 114 millimeter guns. So the first time we've seen 114 millimeters on main batteries. So kind of a weird one. I would kind of relate it just to like the 100 millimeters that we've seen in the past on stuff like the Hirakaze, Akatsuki, some of those kind of IGN gunboats. So what you do need is to make this ship work, you need an inertia fuse captain. So I'm running a 14-point captain right now. Just with concealment expert and inertia fuse, just very simple. And this health pool is with survivability expert as well, which I highly recommend for any kind of destroyer with this playstyle. So yeah, but a 3.5 second reload, so a pretty good rate of fire. That's right there with about the Fletcher. So if you've ever played USN, it's gonna be fairly similar to that. And 10k torps, 102 second reload. Some of the slowest. The only thing that has lower reload on the torps is the Uruloi, so everything else has a quicker reload than this, which is kind of a downside, I guess, being a bit of a defensive ship. It does actually have some decent AA, but with no AA consumable, it's kind of like an Akazuki-ish. That's something I'm going to kind of compare it to a lot. But having a relatively high AA, but without having an AA consumable to really make it work. And again, here you can see me just kind of lackadaisically throwing out some single fire torps and hoping to hit something. Now, there are situations where single fire torps can be absolutely amazing, as in a battleship pushing forward, kind of on a straight line. You can absolutely murder, but overall, I wish it was just a choice. I kind of wanted to focus on a kind of a bigger area there, and I wish I would have just been able to have the narrow spread and then the single fire for certain situations. The thing though about this ship is it's relatively slow. 34 knots. It's actually the slowest for the tier. It's just barely beats the USS Black at 35 knots. So you are the slowest destroyer at this tier. and which makes it so you kind of get into an area. This is how I've kind of seen this. You kind of get into an area and just kind of make it your home. So you kind of take over a cap and then just kind of stay there and hold it down for a team, or hold down the flank and making something push into you, because one of the strengths of this ship currently, and again, still work in progress, so just kind of keep that in mind when I'm talking about this kind of stuff, 5.5 detection. This is a pattern we have seen over and over, time and time again, of these destroyers with good guns, although these ones do require needing inertia fuse to really make them effective, I guess, is these extremely stealthy gunships that just continue to poop on IGNTDs. So not only is this a very, very stealthy ship with actually pretty decent guns once you get the right captain build, you can hold down a cap, and then on top of having this really low, it's the stealthiest, it's time for the stealthiest tier 9 destroyer in the game with the Yagumo. You have a massive sonar, 180-second active time for 3.5 kilometers. So if you are ever, basically the only way an IGN destroyer is going to be able to compete against you really close is if it hits a torp. And with a 3-minute sonar, it's basically never going to happen. So what can you do to make IGN DD's life's hell? They have a tough enough life as it is right now because they continue to basically get pseudo nerfs over and over and over. So again, you're gonna have this ship that basically is another counter to IGN DDs. I really don't like this pattern. I think the thing that IGN destroyers need to be effective is they need their stealth. So giving something with guns that will just murder them. If I run up to a Yagumo with my rate of fire, with my alpha damage, with inertia fuse, I'm gonna shred a Yagumo basically half-life before he probably gets his guns on me. And then on top of that, he's going to be launching torps, which I have a 3-minute sonar, don't forget that, to then just kind of destroy him. So it's kind of a downside for that line. I get this is kind of supposed to be a new role, which I do like, that it's a bit of a unique thing, in that this kind of quote-unquote defensive destroyer. Downside is, though, I felt like I was kind of stuck in certain situations. And what I mean by that is I felt like once I got to an area, I just wasn't really that fast to get around. I didn't have torps to kind of throw at long-range targets, and when I got into a spot, like I never actually left B cap this entire game. I never left B cap. There's another situation in a different game where on trap that I never left A cap. I just got into A cap and never left it. I was just held it down the whole time. I guess that's fun, but you know, there's other parts of the map that I want to be on, and just being slow, it's kind of tough to get once a side is clear to get into another spot. So maybe a bit of a downside. Its smoke is pretty solid. It's basically USN smoke to a point. It goes down as you're laying it. There's a shorter time and it's not down for as long, but it's still actually pretty good. So I would put it right there with about USN smoke. You're laying it down for 15 seconds and then it stays there for 110. So not quite as good as USN, but almost. But I found this ship to be kind of interesting. Things I would like to see change. I just don't think they can make it as stealthy as the IGN DD. I think they might end up changing that. If they do this, again, feels bad, man, for the IGN DDs. Everything with guns continues to get stealthier and stealthier, and there you are. So a bit of an interesting thing. I like that they're trying to make a new, unique play style. And the fact that this kind of defensive destroyers, you have pseudo offensive destroyers with, you know, the Russian line. But this is with inertia fuse too. It does take a higher level captain, which is kind of a downside as well. But when you kind of make it happen, like there's kind of a point that me and a couple of CCs were kind of talking about with these ships, is that it's kind of a bummer to require a captain skill. Like, to make this ship work, you are going to need inertia fuse. There's just no way that you'll make it happen. And this was kind of a nice haircut, and the Minotaur behind me is gonna get absolutely obliterated. Feels bad, man, but getting that close to a GK, not much you can really do. And I think he gets blocked right there. Yeah, Minotaur that close to a GK feels bad, man. But you know, it's interesting. I would like to see what would happen if this maybe had like a 5.7 kilometer detection. I just felt like that I was pretty safe, because with strength and with a high rate of fire, With a stealth, with a high rate of fire, you can really just, it's so tough to push into something, and then you basically are just this perfect destroyer to kind of help your team hold down. So it may be a little bit of like a boring play style, but I do like ships that are good at certain roles and kind of mediocre, I guess, in other places. Also, I guess maybe a pseudo downside, I guess, at tier 9. Well, I guess it's really at tier 9. A lot of stuff is around that 10 kilometers, but with how much radar there is right now, a lot of people are having trouble with that, so people like having longer range torps. I just think that's all right. And, you know, it is what it is. But we got to see this ship pretty early. We had a decent little game, nothing too crazy, but again, I basically stayed in one spot, but was really effective at doing my job, right? We took out the destroyer, we helped take out the destroyer, helped spot stuff, helped put torps in. We were really, really close to getting blopped with that Minotaur, so he went down for that. But downsides about the ship, it's slow. It's a slow ship. I could see it taking battleship AP because it is a pretty hefty looking ship. I mean, looking at things like the Chungmu, it's much smaller, just profile. And I could see kind of getting stuck. It felt like if you overextended, it would take a while to kind of get back. But good rate of fire. It does require a bit of a higher level captain, which I guess could be a downside depending on, you know, if you have enough points. Usually by tier 9, you're gonna have a 14-point captain anyway, so it's really not that big of a deal. It's not like you need like a 19-point. Some builds need 19-point or 18-point captains really high. 14s aren't too bad. This is the ship too without anything like BFT or superintendent, stuff like that. This is purely a priority target, last stand, survivability expert, concealment, and then inertia fuse. I feel like that's basically mandatory, but overall it's kind of an interesting thing. I do like unique playstyles, and this ship kind of brings that, but there's also situations where I would have rather been in like a Fletcher or I bet you I would have done more damage in a Fletcher, but I think I would have done certain other things better because I was in this ship. Having that sonar, having these tools that this ship has is actually pretty damn nice. But anyways, guys, let this battle play out. Just a quick little preview of the currently work in progress Jutland and the other Russian destroyers. So look forward to those DDs coming into the game and more videos to come. Anyways, that's it for me, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.